Welcome to the Brain Factor Podcast with Joy and Laura, powered by Meridian Healthcare, approaching wellness with heart, one life at a time, one community at a time. This is a science-based conversation about real life. Our goal? To leave you with a few nuggets of wisdom, smile on your face, and maybe even a laugh or two. So let's jump in.
Hi, and welcome to the Brain Factor. My name is Laura, and I'm joined here as always with my co-host Joy. And we are here to talk to you about something really different today, still fitting within the overall wellness and health and what our bodies and minds and lives experience on a daily basis. But Joy has, you may have noticed for our viewers and not our listeners, Joy is in a, what is that? Is it a sling? How do we call that?
Sling.
Right?
I don't know what it is.
Okay.
I'm going to let's call it I call her Maleficent.
So Maleficent has also joined us here today for this episode, but we're going to get to that in a minute, why she's wearing that and what that looks like. But her experiences have had us talking and thinking a lot lately about physical trauma. And we've talked here before about emotional trauma and mental trauma and all of that. But and the two are so, I mean, they're so related and there's such an overlap. But with there being a physical trauma, when there's something like, and not just accident or injury, right? But things that cognitively, like in our brains, we know are good, right? We've chosen something that's going to fix a problem or make our lives better in some way, but then yet that's still a trauma, and we're experiencing the same types of responses that we can for trauma, right? And so you and I have been talking a lot about how our bodies don't, like your nervous system does not know the difference between...
I know, it's mind-boggling.
Right, between what you've chosen and what happened to you, right? So while some of the emotional trauma might be different, the mental anguish, for lack of a better word, that you experience from any kind of physical trauma, even when it's something you're celebrating, that's been something we've been exploring lately. And so with that, would you tell our viewers and listeners like what you've been through and sort of how this evolved and what your experiences have been? Because I think people are going to relate to that a lot.
Yeah. So I for a while I've been having, difficulty using my arm, and, fast forward through all the doctors, all the processes, I end up with a surgical plan to have surgery on my shoulder to correct a number of issues, couple tears, different things like that. So in context with what Laura just said, I made an actual decision to have this surgery to better what was going to happen with me in the future.
Sure.
I could have taken a different path, but I opted to have a surgery to fix a problem permanently, as opposed to dealing with a cyclical problem over time with medications and things like that. So I'm doing better, doing worse, doing better, doing worse. So I just said, I'll hop in and do this. I know it's a long, hard recovery. It's a 6-month recovery, but it's going to be good.
But in the long run, this will be positive.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Enter the surgery center with a smile. Not that I don't want surgery or anything, but I'm like, okay, I'm good. Mentally, I'm okay. I made this choice to do this. I wasn't in a car wreck. I wasn't, beat up, nothing like that. Just positive thing that's going on that I'm fortunate that I can afford to do, that I'm fortunate that I have the surgeon that I have, all these really good things.
So like outside looking in, for all intents and purposes, this is nothing but positive.
All good.
Yeah.
All good. We're going to do this. We're going to fix this. We're going to suffer for a little while.
Well, that's the rub.
We're
going to suffer for a little while, right?
Suffer for a little while.
And we overlooked that.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
You overlooked that.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, before we even kind of get into your experiences of like your body being limited and what that does to you emotionally, but your tissue was damaged, right?
Yeah.
So your body, like from a physiological standpoint, is experiencing, inflammation and healing and trauma and all of that at the same time. But no one told your nervous system that this was a good thing.
Nobody told my nervous system it was a good thing, except for the anesthesiologist, but that only
Right,
lasted
right,
like
right.
24 hours.
Very temporary. Yeah.
Very, very, very temporary. Yeah. So, my body then reacted to the trauma after the surgery was completed, and I went home and, after the block wore off, and then forget it. It's like everything's a mess. I can't, get around. I can't do things like I want to do. But there's an emotional mental factor to it as well, because I'm so independent.
Right.
So my husband's trying to help me, and I'm like,
I got it.
what? I can do this.
But you can't.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be recovering. Why do you have a vacuum in your hand? So my tissue's responding in a negative way because my body can't do what it wants to do. My mind is struggling with it now as well. I'm really feeling it, in the first week of it. I'm trying to stay in bed, do things less than I normally would. I'm starting to feel really antsy and confined because I have a very, very busy, full life.
Right.
I have a demanding career.
Well, you
I
stopped
co-host
working,
right? I
right?
stopped working for a month now. Yeah, I stopped working. I do all of these different things. I volunteer in the community. I have family. I'm a gym rat. I'm always on the go, juggling. And now all of a sudden I hit a wall.
Right.
And I'm just sitting here going like, I need to do something. Now my husband's great. Everyday presents are showing up, because I love a good present, So I've got all kinds of neat new things.
He's like, it's fine.
trying
We'll
to
just
help
buy
me.
our way
We're
out of
good.
this.
We'll
It's
buy,
fine.
yes. Exactly. Yeah, for sure. That probably is what he was thinking. Maybe if I go give her.
If I throw enough money at this problem, it will go away.
It will go away.
But what I find interesting and what I hear you saying is that this was a wall that you knew you were going to hit. You planned on this. You took the time off of work. Again, like this wasn't a car accident that all of a sudden you're scrambling and you're trying to figure out now how do you make everything stop. Like I know you, so I know that we haven't talked about this part. I know you put things in place. Like you wrapped up projects at work. Like you made sure the house was clean before you went to surgery. Like I know you probably even meal prepped, right? Like
yes.
Yeah, you're like
got my documents in order.
Right. Like so you planned for this, and yet hitting that wall sounds like that didn't feel emotionally really any different than if you had hit the wall unexpectedly.
No, I don't think so. It didn't feel any different. It was pretty much the same. And after I got through this little period of, I'm not doing any self-care now. I'm sitting there, I'm struggling mentally because I'm used to doing things. I want to do things. I don't want anyone helping me have to change my shirt or, put a sock on or things that. So I know I'm right-handed and I still have my right arm available. It's my left one. I didn't know how important this guy was over here until I lost use
You're like,
of
he
him.
Participates.
He does a lot of stuff. Like, I can't button jeans. So yeah, there's lots of different things going on, and it's really hitting you. Like I plan, but I couldn't plan for what was going to come. But after I got through that initial stage, probably about a week or so, where I was like, I want to go do stuff, I finally started to acquiesce. But I'm getting no self-care other than the presents that are just showing up and the coffee and the food. I start to get comfortable and kind of warm and just sitting in the bed and flipping channels on the remote. I start to get used to this.
You sort of surrendered to your wall.
I surrendered, but I didn't know I was surrendering. I was just trying to do.
You're being a good patient.
I was absolutely following instructions. Yep, being a good patient. And then I've been working with a dietitian, especially going into surgery. I wanted to make sure my body was prepared and that I had the nutrients that I needed to get the best recovery that I could.
Sure.
I've got great doctor, great physical therapy, not great mental health at the moment, but I wanted to make sure I had great nutrition too so I could heal properly. So I'm working, and I get on my call with the first time since the surgery with my dietitian, and she always checks like my meal logs and my activity logs and stuff like that to see where I'm at. I'm like, don't get, too interested in it, because I haven't really logged things, and I haven't really done this, and I haven't really done that, and I haven't walked, I haven't done much. She's like, well, why? I'm like, what do you mean why? She's like, well, why? I'm like, I don't know, I'm not into it right now.
Right.
She's like, you're not into it? I'm like, yeah, I'm just not into it. I don't know. And so she continued to question me a bit, and I was like, I just don't have an answer. I don't know. I'm just not motivated, and I'm not doing it. She's like, okay. But I took the conversation to heart, so I started to try on my own and figure out what's happening to me here. Obviously,
She's like, why can't I answer this question?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, that was a really simple question.
Right.
I don't know. I didn't say my arm hurt. I didn't say, I don't know, the medication they have me on is too much.
Right.
I didn't, because there really wasn't anything except I got comfortable doing nothing, watching TV.
Yeah.
And all my self-care was gone. I wasn't doing any of things that I used to do. So I had to kind of figure out new self-care ways, because I've been a little bit of a brat, because I love to lift weights, and I couldn't do that anymore. So I didn't
So
want
we're
to
going to do nothing.
anything.
Yeah, if you can't do that, I'm doing nothing.
I'll suffer through the cardio if I get to lift the weights, and now I
Right.
can't. So I really had to rethink all of that. And my son came and got me, and we went to the movies with the kids, and
Sure.
I started to work on a language app. So I started to learn a language, because that
Okay.
kept my mind engaged. I've been working on that every day. I got up and put some clothes on and went to the nail shop and got a pedicure
Right,
done.
yeah.
It's like I just couldn't lay there and give up on self-care for a month.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
and getting out of the house was hard. I can't drive. I can't, and everything's, I can't. So I'm feeling sorry for myself.
Sure. Yeah. And what
Yeah.
you're describing sounds like a depressive episode.
And that's where I was going.
Yeah.
I was just drifting into it without even knowing it was going on. And I talk about this all the time.
Well, and that's what I'm hearing, right? So
Yes.
and that's why I really wanted to talk about this today, because if this is happening to you, right, where you have the knowledge base and the experience and the education, and you know what to look for in a surgery that you elected to have that is positive, with a support structure in place at home, right? You have the perfect storm here.
I do.
And you're struggling.
Yes.
I imagine there's a lot of people out there who might be experiencing similar things
Yeah.
and not have the knowledge base, the awareness, the education, the support structure, and it may not be something that they chose, right?
Yeah.
And so I think the message here is multifaceted, right? That there's a normalcy to some of what happens to us when our body is injured, and then there's also when the surgery is done and it's a success and everyone's like, great, now just recover.
Yeah.
There's a whole other layer that you've got to worry about and pay attention to there. I have a question for you. So what has helped, from the support from other, because you talked about some of the things, the initiative you took, right?
Yeah.
What helped with other people? Was there something were there things your husband was doing or your friends, or, what was beneficial to you to help you get out of that slump?
Yeah, so my friends were checking in on me, getting messages from them or phone calls just to see how things were going. My husband, did everything, and, his support and his understanding of the fact that I don't always enjoy kindness, because I feel like it takes away my independence.
Right.
No, I don't need you to help me. Thank you. But his being able to overlook that.
Right.
Just
Well, and that's got to
go
be
through,
okay, so we spend a lot of time, for those who listen and watch regularly, we do we do throw our husbands under the bus
Yeah.
quite a bit, right? So, but Rudy, I'm going to give you some credit here, right? Because I think this is a really good example of like how important it is to
Yeah.
treat people. There's that phrase like treat people how you want to be treated, but that's not what he did. He treated you like how you wanted to be treated, not how he would want to be treated, right?
Yes.
And I think
Yeah.
that's an important thing for any kind of recovery or support
Yeah.
when we're trying to help the people that we care about. So nice job. You didn't get thrown under the bus today.
Yeah, good for you. Don't get used to it.
Yeah, it's very temporary.
My kids checking in on me. People, one day my employer and her family sent, a nice, wonderful little soup comfort box with
Nice.
soups and things like that in it. And, that took away actually 2 or 3 days that I didn't have to cook because,
Yeah.
it was a lot. So that was really good.
So it sounds like it's a
Yeah.
combination of that practical help at home, and then
But
that
the dietitian
like
was
I'm
really
thinking
helpful
of you.
too.
Yeah, and
'Cause
she challenged you.
That was the key. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it was like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah,
Someone who doesn't, I guess she knows me okay, but doesn't know me as well as everybody else
Right.
was able to continue to, and she put me together some more nutrition and she's also a personal trainer, so she put me together a little
Right.
workout plan and stuff that I could do. And
yeah, get you back in gear a little bit.
yeah.
some
So by the
normalcy.
next week, when I talked to her, I had gotten up, I'd ridden my Peloton, which Peloton is wonderful. I don't necessarily enjoy any type of cardio.
Yeah.
So I was doing that every day, even if it was 15, 20, up to 30 minutes is about all I was squeaking out. And I just started to focus on that self-care and allow the people that were trying to help me. 'Cause
Yeah.
that was hard. And that's where you were going with the support from
Right.
other people.
Right, because
Yeah.
sometimes we have to take that kicking and screaming, and like you had started this by saying, hey, I'm very independent, and this
Yeah.
is why this knocked me down
Yes.
so much in so many different ways. So I think that's interesting. And you had also found, to go back to some of the science behind
Yeah.
this that kind
Yeah,
of got
yeah.
us really excited, you had found a study in the British Journal of Anesthesia,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Which talked about the body's response to tissue damage, right?
Yep.
And really supported what we were saying before about not knowing the difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it's elective or not. And there's a book I've been reading. Folks who are sort of into this type of stuff have heard of it before. It's pretty well known.
Yeah, we've talked
But
about it on here
yeah,
before,
the
too,
body
'cause
keeps
I read it a
score.
while back. Yeah, the body keeps
So I am
score.
in the middle of actually cheated. It's the audiobook, but I am but I am listening to that currently, and I think it's just something that not everybody's talking about, right? The way that trauma shows up for us, regardless of intent, regardless of what we know that it is or isn't, regardless of how much we plan for it, that we're not going to ever really be immune to that as well. And we were even talking before we filmed, like taking physical trauma and injury aside. My daughter is an actress, and she's a child actress, and she was introduced to this concept by some of her coaches, saying like, hey, when you're working on emotional scene work, you get excited because you did it right, but like your body doesn't know the difference between when you're faking it and when you're not. So there's still an element of like self-care and checking in and being emotionally safe and all of those things. And I think that's all kind of under this same umbrella of when we have any kind of physicality that's going to be connected to what our experience is, it doesn't really matter what our understanding of that is. There's going to be a reaction.
Yeah, and it happens to all of us, whether it's the, emotional, mental, or the physical, or surgical, or I tripped and fell, or I rolled my ankle shooting hoops, or any of those things. I am very conscious of not using absolutes, but I kind of feel like in this thing, everybody's kind of gone through something, even if you just like walked into a door jam and hit yourself and your body responds to that. You're like, wow, that's...
And how often do we not give ourselves permission to be injured? right?
Yeah.
Like I recently, very minor injury on my heel and ankle, and it was just bad timing because I had to go to a conference a couple days
Yeah,
later.
because you just push through it.
And I'm like hobbling around and I'm like apologizing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, can you go get that for me? Because it's like, it's been a long day. And I'm like apologizing for the injury that I had sustained, right?
Oh, yeah, and I'm doing the same thing. I think in my second week, so my doctor tells me be out for 6 weeks. Okay. In probably my first week, I messaged my boss about something, and the second week, I was like, hey, I'm going to try to work, maybe up to an hour or two a day.
Why?
And the response I got back was,
Right.
What did she say to me? She's like, well, you can do whatever you feel or like. However, know that the only thing that's expected of you at this time is that you take care of yourself and heal.
Right.
Yeah. And, I'm fortunate too
Sure.
in that instance.
Yeah, not everybody has that experience, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I think by and large, we do not give ourselves permission.
No, I was
right?
like feeling guilty. I've been feeling guilty all month that I haven't worked.
Well, and there it is, right? That's the long-term or the potentially longer-term effects of minimizing our own pain, right?
Yeah.
And our own experiences. And you would be the first person to be telling someone else, take the time to heal.
Take the time,
There's
you
nothing
need to
wrong
do
with it.
it.
You got to do, right? But that doesn't apply to yourself.
Apparently
You're
not,
holding yourself to a
yes.
different set of standards, right? And
Always.
I think we do that. We do that as human beings. So, so we're curious to hear from you guys, right? Have you had an experience where you've, minimized your own pain, been recovering from an injury, felt like you've been quote unquote taking too long, right?
Yeah.
Still felt the pressure to do things you're not supposed to be doing, or and what kind of an impact that has on you, and how we get over those things. So share with us your experiences. Joy, we hope you continue to heal quickly
too.
and
Thank
well.
you.
And we will see you guys next time. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for listening to The Brain Factor. Joy and I are so thrilled to be having these needed conversations. We'd love to hear your feedback on this episode, so if you could drop a comment or leave a review with your thoughts or any requests that you may have, it would be appreciated. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Living a healthier and happier life starts with one step, and we're excited to be on this journey with you. Until next time.